welcome once again, and good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio, GBN TV. Good morning to you once again. Welcome. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV. Let me say good morning to my guest in studio with me this morning, the Honorable Redhead, the Public Relations Officer for the National Democratic Congress. Let me say good morning to you, sir, and welcome back once again. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you, GT. Well, doing well. Just listening the press conference and following what is taking place.
All right. It should have been our main highlight of our program this morning, but of course we made a little bit of an adjustment just to come on and speak to the folks this morning. Now, we heard the Honourable Minister, of course, I was actually speaking there a while ago relating to the blue economy. But I want you to, if you picked up any main feature from what he was speaking about that maybe you want to just reiterate on it, that just on a brief level, I would say that we could expand a little bit.
Right. So, Minister is reporting to the nation on one of the plans of the National Democratic Congress, the NDC administration, in terms of what was on our manifesto, page 18 to be exact, of our manifesto, in which we spoke about the blue economy. And we see fisheries and the fishing sector much, much more than just that. And so it was important for us to ensure that we implement this new ministry, but not just implement a new ministry by way of just appointing a minister and a PS, but ensure that we build out the mechanisms to be able to capitalize on the economic activity and to put us in the 21st century with marine sector business. And it speaks to all of the positions that he announced that are available in terms of by way of work and other initiatives that Grenadians and Caribbean people can be able to participate in when it comes to the ocean. In fact, comparing our land size to our ocean is almost like chalk and cheese, and so the vast open space that the ocean provides and unlimited potential is really something that we must always seek to build and invest in. And so we are proud that we have reached this level. Announcing the ministry, its structure, implementing it is only one part of the process, and therefore we have so much more to do. But the potential certainly is going to be limitless with this one, and it speaks to the question of diversifying the Grenadian economy.
Blue economy and the Grenadian economies, the blue economy that you spoke of being part of the manifesto of the National Democratic Congress, of course, during the election period. The benefit that could derive for Grenada, sir?
Yeah.
Well, it is vast. Can you talk in the ocean and everything there that encompasses within there that will come to build a nation?
Correct.
Tell me a wee bit about that.
So, and that's the excitement around it. I could just start off with a very simple example so that we get an appreciation what we're talking about. Do you remember at some point Grenada used to engage in jet ski businesses, and although in some instances they were kind of informal, people would buy them and just have them, for the tourists to participate. But at one point it was banned. Yeah.
But I think it was unregulated.
Yes, and unregulated. So that was a thing. So it's informal. So this administration took the step to say that, look, let's regulate it and let's return jet ski for some of the people down at the Grand Anse Beach, for example. And we don't only have to stop there because Grenada has multiple beaches. You have a number of areas that, again, you would need lifeguards, you would need the tower, different elements, Karakou, Piti Martinique, you can think of there. And so how we roll that out, we need the policy structure in place to be able to regulate such a sector, and not just regulate it but build it. Because when we talk about all the other new sectors that we want to include in terms of the marijuana industry, for example, in terms of ensuring that we go deep into ICT, building out that sector, when we talk about all that, the creative economy and so on, you have to start by building the structure so that the policies that are implemented could roll out simultaneously and then can impact the various groups and stakeholders in that sector. And so we took a long time to get to this point simply because we needed to do a deep dive, understand the sector, see where we were going with it, and see who at the time would be the best suited people to begin the process of ensuring that we implement this sector.
All right, great. And the security aspect of it is also very important. Very, very important.
It helps because you see there's a potential now to twin the blue economy with ICT as it relates to managing our borders a bit tighter, because one of the weaknesses during COVID-19 we discovered, and it was there since a long time, is that the borders are very porous in Grenada, and therefore it is always difficult. Even people coming from Canawan, St. Vincent, and Grenadines, etc., to Carriacou, to Petit Martinique, to Carriacou, and so on. That track there is open for a lot of, in a sense, unforeseen entry. And so ensuring that we twin the ICT sector in terms of security surveillance with the blue economy is going to be a very pivotal part in also protecting fishermen.
Yeah.
We see the unfortunate situation that occurs on the eastern side repeatedly, right, St. Andrew. And so there is potential there to do great many things. It's a start, and we are just pleased that we've reached this point. I think it was noteworthy to mention these things. The minister and the PS gave an account there, and then there are other participants on the press briefing that will talk more specific to the sargassum.
Yes.
And so that's a different topic.
Well, we want to jump into that this morning. I mean, talk a wee bit. I want to know, because it's becoming a level of concern, not only for Grenada, because you have noticed other Caribbean islands also having the mass amount that has built up this year for some reason. It's even more than we've seen previously. Yeah. I mean, sometimes the attention is not given to it because it comes and goes.
Yes.
You know, you see it for a while and then after it disappears.
Seasonal.
But for some reason, it's a lot this year for some reason. And countries who have never spoken about it before within the Caribbean is now putting attention. Areas around around Grenada where we have never seen it before. I know if no showing up its face there. Let's hear about the really immediate plans. Of course, we didn't go deep into the press briefing to hear more, of course, of the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority and stuff, their plans for it.
Right.
But from you being, of course, the MP for you also a former member of cabinet. You're privy to this information, I'm assuming. So, talk to me about the sargassum.
Right.
What are the real plans for it in terms of really getting it under control, if I could say that way?
Right. So good. And by way of information, Solid Waste would elaborate some more on it. I think they would have to talk on the extensive, maybe even review that they have had to do in terms of the initial plan to be able to roll out, because the amount is just so much more. It's even more than the record-breaking season of 2022. And so the government, I don't have the specific date in front of me, but the government did launch a cleanup effort and project specific to sargassum sometime earlier on this year. It was launched under the Ministry of Climate Resilience.
Did I hear the minister actually mention March 1st? I hope that's correct. March 1st.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Right? And so it was important because based on all computer models, based on all forecasts, the sargassum was forecasted to be extreme this year, but no one could imagine that it would have been able to break the record of 2022 in terms of the amount. And as you mentioned, Grenada is not the only Caribbean territory dealing with this thing. The entire region is dealing with the issue, and so the plans are in some instances going to have to be soon, immediate, and may not always work because of the magnitude. And so revisiting that plan, ensuring that we are on top of the situation, is going to be critical. So residents would see some measure of discomfort, I assume. As with everything, this issue has persistently started becoming a very serious issue and threat to our tourism sector and fishing and marine life, because it kills out the fish, etc., etc. And so our response cannot be just knee-jerk. We have to do some things in immediate, but we need to plan for the longer term vision as to how we treat with it. And so what the government is doing is twofold. One, we are looking to deal with the collection of the sargassum. So that's one, on particular coastlines. Two, the other most important thing is that what can we do with the sargassum? Could we turn it into biowaste? Could we turn it into something? So we have explored those options as well. You may recall that the government did host a conference on sargassum and talking about its potential for commerce, business. You could commercialize, the collection of it. And so it really speaks to being able to respond to the now situation by cleaning the beaches, because that is going to be a persistent problem. Unfortunately, I want to say to the nation, and we have to be honest, it is overwhelming And notwithstanding that budgets were set and systems were in place to collect it, but the magnitude of the sargassum that is coming, you're going to have to see a mammoth attempt to be at it, but it's going to be extended, and it would not be immediate, because when you clean this day, by the time next 2-3 days, it's back up at the levels that it was. So that's really the challenge that we have dealing with. So it's not to say nothing is being done about the sargassum. The issue really is the amount and the ability of the initial operation or project, so to speak, to be able to handle that new amount now.
Conversation was of course held, and of course discussion was made, and when we reference to the sargassum, the nets and all of these things over the period of time to capture it all there. Do we have these things that could really help these things? Is this thing on island can really help and
right.
so forth?
We are working towards it, but as mentioned, I think the real challenge is the magnitude, and then you have the other issue of its storage, because solid waste certainly will speak to the situation of it, but I could tell you that one of the challenges that existed in the past is that if you collect this thing, it has, and you place it on land, there is a level of toxic chemical reaction and so on that occurs. I'm not the technical expert, but I'm just saying what was reported. And therefore, you have to also, in terms of managing that waste, when you extract it from the ocean and the beachfront, you have to also manage how you store it, because you can't just place it on the land and so on. When it rots, there's a particular chemical that is sent out from its rotting. So we have to also be careful that we don't just want to collect it just for the sake of it. And this is not something that you want to politicize, because I think what we need to do is to have a deep dive. The region does not have an immediate effective response to it, and therefore all territories are currently going through the phase what you may call research and development to see the best model and best approach in treating with it. But again, as mentioned, it is a threat to tourism and a threat to our fishing.
Now, during the last year's conference, we had various companies from around the world offering various solutions in terms of how what can be done. There are companies that had showed different ways that the sargassum could be used for different reasons, and for commercial and other reasons. Has any of these companies that already came back? Has government went through and have the discussion with those companies in terms of really managing it, or doing stuff with the sargassum that could even help to ease the problem that we're going through right now?
There is one that was looked at from a French company. I stand to be corrected on the name and so on it, so I wouldn't even mention. But there is one proposal that was looked at, and so the thing is, government is open to many proposals. Cost is one factor in terms of determining how much could we put out for this, specifically whether or not we need to get international or regional funding to be able to roll that out. The other factor is that how much of that expertise could actually be shared with Grenadians. So we ourselves can, create the businesses and be in a position to treat with it. Because I think you need to look at it from a zonal standpoint in terms of how you're going to deal with it. South, east, and west. Right, the northern parts of St. Patrick, I am not certain that I have seen a proliferation of it there, but although it could be there because it's currents around the island. But the point is, you have to take an approach where you may want to strengthen the eastern side, because that's the epicenter, so to speak, of whenever it comes and so on. So you have to look at all of these aspects into it. So proposals, look at the different vendors who may be offering options, and see what is best for the country. But I think once government constantly raises the issue, I think we are going to find a solution, and we are going to get national agreement on the approach that should be taken. But what it calls for is people with the expertise. They need to come forward. The government is always willing to listen and talk about these things and talk about the solutions, because too often we talk about the problem, but the question is, how do we solve it?
Solutions. There's something I always cater for too, behind, because we always already know the problem. And sometimes you hear less conversation in relation how this could be solved.
Correct.
And we see them, we all seeing how it could be solved. Of course, all around we drew for a break. Let's take it when we come back. We continue the discussion. Stay with us here, folks. Classic Radio, GBN TV. We coming right back. Don't touch your dial. Stay with us, folks.
Get ready, Grenada. The Maggie King of the Grill is back and bigger than ever. On Saturday, June 7th, Monroe's playing field transforms into the ultimate battleground for grill masters. Think you got what it takes? Then fire up those grills and show your skills. Registration closes Friday, April the 11th. So don't miss your chance to compete for that sizzling prize and bragging rights. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. To register, call 407-8458. Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules. See you there.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Monrouge Plain Field from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay, and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy, and Horizon Paper Towels, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
Hey GBN family, we've got a brand new home on Facebook and you need to be there. Follow us now on Facebook at Grenada Broadcasting Network -GBN. Stay updated with the latest news, sports, entertainment, and everything Grenada. Don't miss out. Like, follow, and share. Grenada Broadcasting Network. Stay informed, stay ahead. First with the news, fast with the updates.
Get ready, Grenada, for more great track and field action on May 17th and 18th at the Kirani James Stadium as our athletes strive for supremacy at the Classic Lighting Athletic Championship. Come support our stars as they sprint, jump, and throw. It's the Classic Lighting Athletic Championship, May 17th and 18th, Kirani James Stadium from 11 a.m. Start preparing now.
Listeners, welcome back, viewers. We're back. Of course, it's to the point for today, Wednesday, the 7th day of May, 2025. And in this segment, we also have the lines open. So if you're a listener, viewer there, and you have a question or two you want to ask the MP, feel free to do so. MP, let's talk about what's going on there. There's various, of course. How can I put it? There's in events that will be coming up pretty soon that you may want to highlight before we take the call. That you want to mention things that.
So just quickly, just to mention, we have the third government town hall meeting coming up. It would be in Saint Mark. We would announce the date in short order and share the information through various media.
Okay, great. We do have a caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to the minister.
Morning, sir.
Minister, as Pierre to the government, I want to find out something from you. Here in my community, I live at Woodford in St. John's, and we have the landfill there. That landfill meets the community in progress. We've been always here, and the landfill came. In the past, we didn't have much problem with it, so we never bothered. But lately, we've been having a lot of problem here, and this is a problem that's not being addressed. People is getting ill here. People is getting sick because the landfill, one, is in the wrong place, and two, it's out of control. It's out of control, in my opinion, because whenever the landfill is overfilled, they light it, and it continues smoldering. As a matter of fact, at night, I I particularly, myself and my family, we have to close the house. And we have to find ways to, well, the only thing we're not doing is wearing masks. We have to cover our faces to sleep. I woke up this morning and my eyes was on fire. Now, this is so dangerous, and everybody talking. You people just talking, and governments come, governments go, everybody talking. Nobody doing anything about the issues that supposed to be protecting the people in the different communities, right? Now, we don't know what's burning in that landfill because there is no way that the people who control the landfill are saying it, because I see it when we have our garbage here, we just put it out and the truck pick it up and they go and they dump, and when it's too much daylight, so we could be inhaling poison, right? And lately, I listened to an interview at a town hall with our minister, and she's threatening, telling us now that they're going to be picking up the sargassum to store it in that same landfill. What's wrong with you people? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Why aren't you doing the right thing for the people? And this is not politics. This is about human health. You understand? People in my community is getting sick. Lots of us going on with asthma. And we complaining and nobody listening. As PRO, take it to the relevant authority. Do something about it before something happens. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution this morning.
Yeah. Well, caller, thank you very much for that contribution. And you see, it's an important one because oftentimes the politician who is not the expert has to be involved in trying to bring a political solution to a problem that requires a technical solution. I am saying that there are people employed in different ministries, departments, environmentalists throughout Grenada. They have to, in my view, write proposals, get themselves up as Grenadians to be able to contribute to a solution to these problems. It is equivalent to seeing a pothole, as we were just discussing, and everybody is passing there. The politician has to look at the big macro picture of his constituency or her constituency, and therefore somebody is calling him about a hole in the road weeks now, and you have road officers in those constituencies. You have different people employed with the Ministry of Infrastructure. Nobody is looking to get their job done, even just outside the normal work hours. You're seeing it, you're passing there, then you're waiting until you go to work. Somebody had to call a meeting, you have to organize lunch just to discuss this hole in the road to be solved, which could be easily solved by just giving a recommendation to get the crews to come and patch the road. So the point is that this issue that you speak of, certainly, and you have said it correctly, is a persistent issue, but it is something that I believe requires more input of technocrats over politicians. We have to take the responsibility. The buck stops with us by way of policy, right? And that's one part of the system from an executive standpoint. But you have the legislator where we'll have to pass laws and so on. But at this point, I'm saying what is necessary is that the stakeholders, those who are responsible for the management of waste, i.e. solid waste, this concern should be raised with them directly. People who have the technical capacity could write to solid waste and suggest, a fix, a solution. But this goes back to the wider problem, because we are now criticizing the administration for dealing with the sargassum. Where are we going to store the sargassum? Pick it up, clean the beach. That is the point. And I'm saying we are not in the business to try to please people. I think what we need to get to is solving the problem. If it was easy in terms of the challenges, it would be solved at a lower level. But the fact that it always often has to come back to the politician is, in my belief, a deficiency of society where the people who are employed to function, in my view, is not functioning. All right. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Ron.
Morning, sir.
And I want to be straight. This is German here.
Yes, German.
I asked you to give me a call on 2 occasions. You never called me, but that's not going to divide me on your friendship.
Yeah.
I hear you talking about sargassum. Mm-hmm. Good conversation, because you have some in GBN. I want to be straight and plain as a man in sports and culture. These things could have never happened if I had my 2 foot and my eyes going. What is the reason why? What deal all you have with this man in Trinidad who always sell majority shares? Some godman in Trinidad who owns majority shares in the station. Is this a rule run that GBN must not be bringing no basketball scores, only football, athletics, cricket, and if there's a fourth and fifth, only netball and swimming? Run. You have children playing secondary school basketball. You're already talking about fixing up all the courts and everything in Grenada. What is the reason why you are NBA playing, not a basketball school? Last night I could have fallen long and dead. You know what Innocent do this morning? Like he did when Archie Bain resigning and then Peter morning when they bring basketball schools tonight. He cut it off. This morning, you know what he do? He deliberately cut it, and I get it from good source. And I'm not going to put people work at problem. Somebody tell me, this guy make it clear already. He don't want to hear not much no basketball. So when I learn that, I understand why he's doing that. Two, you have a pan competition going on Sunday. Gone 2 Sundays, I think. It's 2 Sundays now. Yeah. GT is a River Road man. Isaac Kainat man, he a Tongue man, he a St. Paul man. 4 areas. That don't mean we take out the rest of the areas. That stay in this pan business and development. Every band in the tongue of St. George have at least 300 members. 200 watchers, 100 players. Anytime the band falling down, players will come and take. I listen GT bring it the Wednesday after the Easter. Okay, no problem, he advertise it. I hear him bring it the Saturday. You know GT and Innocent will not play one pan music. You know when they go play pan music, and GT, I'm sorry I have to say that, you know, he is not a bad person. But I have to be straight. GT and Innocent going to be only bringing pan music the last week in July. If you get 2 mornings, if you get 2 tunes, for Monday you get one, and you get one the Friday before Carnival, well, they win a time that. Well, yeah, let me say the Friday. That's it. Run. All you need to do something. If you all do know not taken, I'm going on the radio and different radio and tell all pan people and all basketball people, don't vote for the government and don't vote for opposition leaders, the opposition
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning. I appreciate your contribution this morning. I appreciate your contribution. 435-2041. I guess the caller had a lot to say there. I mean, sometimes you, as you mentioned, you can't please everyone. Let's go to another caller. Took a lot of time there. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, GT, and good morning to the Minister.
Good morning to you.
Minister, good morning, sir. I don't know what we're doing wrong in Grenada, in tourism. Right now in tourism, all the private planes that used to come in Grenada for December all went to St. Vincent. If you look at Facebook and Serda, see all them private planes went to St. Vincent. I don't know what we're doing wrong. All the yachts that used to come to Grenada, they gone to St. Vincent. This year it was really dead for Christmas and New Year's time in that port there, where these guys used to make so much money money to spend in those supermarkets. Them yachts come in and spend thousands of dollars. Nothing happened. I don't know what we're doing wrong. Look right now in St. Vincent. They're registering all them big ship in St. Vincent right now. If you look when they park up on the car on the port, see what mark on it. Kingston. They're registering everything. So something we're doing wrong. We have to get something back together. I call on the Minister of Tourism, who in charge. Please, let me see where we're making a mistake. We're making a mistake right now. We're losing cruise ship. We're losing everything. So I'm looking forward to see something happening for the next year or the next 2 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Well, let me just respond to that because from all indications, the numbers in terms of arrivals are even greater than the previous 2 years and has been on the up. But that's one. Remember, in St. Vincent, they recently had the construction of one of the, I stand to be corrected, I can't recall if it's a Sandals hotel, but there's a new hotel in St. Vincent that was recently constructed, and therefore there will be no increased competition. Remember, tourism in the region is largely driven with the room stock. And so if you have other islands increasing their room stock, of course you may have different cruise lines diverting. Of course they will get different calls, and different countries will offer incentives for them to come. It's a competition nonetheless, but we have to remain at the competitive edge and advantage. And tourism is not only through the tourists who come. You have sports tourism. We are interested in investing in health tourism as well. So there are a number of aspects that we are doing. I think we are getting right, but no plan is always perfect, and we certainly accept if there is a decrease, as you indicated, that we should work towards improving that.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to Ron.
Good morning, Jim. Go right ahead, please.
You know, you said something that no plan is perfect, and I do agree with you. But we build back better. We say we're building back better, and we should build back better. Government should be what you call the when government builds something, it should last for a long time. Government shouldn't be building and in 2 days it just fall apart. Hence that they build back better houses. Some of the owners in the Rosehill, St. Patrick's, are complaining. And they're saying that a little rainfall just a little while ago, a couple of days ago, and they had to put buckets in the house to collect water. What is wrong with that? A guy even told me that when he goes to shower in his bathroom, the water is going through his room and falling under the house. What is wrong with that? Now, when we go to the contractor, he said that $80,000 cannot build a house. So he heard that the house is $125,000 and they give them $80,000 to build it. That can't build a house, so what the government expect? So something is wrong with that Build Back Better project. Now, the government should never let that happen, because when the government builds something, it should last. When it gives our citizens something from the government, it should be something of pride, where people would enjoy it for a number of years, passed on to the children. They shouldn't have to go back and try to do repairs in a house after a month or 2 months or 3 months after. It just doesn't make sense, making the government look bad. So I'm asking the government right now to go back to who they give those houses in them and find out what is wrong, what challenges did they have, and fix it immediately, because you don't want the citizens to go and make videos and post on Facebook and embarrass the government. So this is a state of emergency. Go back and see what's going on there and fix it immediately. Have a nice day, brother.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I am aware of instances of that, but again, this is largely attributed to the contractors. And if contractors have difficulty, this is something that we should raise. Not in all instances. In some instances, the Build Back Betters are performing very well as it relates to rainfall and that sort of thing. But it's something, certainly, thank you, caller, for raising it. And if it is necessary, the government, the Ministry of MIT in particular, would certainly review and get back to the public.
Okay, great. We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, GT, and good morning to Minister Redhead. Well, Minister Redhead, Ron, that my darling. Is Auntie Jojo here?
Hey.
Yes? How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Good. I am touched by the point that German made about the steel band, but it's a bigger picture, you know. As simple as it went down, it's a bigger picture. I don't believe that we are aware of what the system is doing to our local culture, yeah? So, Paul King-Douglas in an interview said he heard an announcer say, for the next 30 minutes we'll play you some local music. He said that announcer clearly did not understand his role. Okay? So we probably from the colonial days that spill over up to today, 2025, that we always feel things from abroad better than what we have. So we're not pushing our own. Now, when I used to be on the radio, I remember Peck brought a lovely collection of steel band music, but all different beats. So like we had One Moment in Time, you know, so when slow music is required after lunch, you would get steel band music in there. I'm not saying you'd get half an hour of steel band music, but steel band music was just mixed into the regular playlist, okay? So I am saying the point that he made there, it's a bigger thing. We need to look at what we are doing regrets we have imported a foreign culture into our land, and our little children now are looking at that. If listen to how they're speaking and so on and so on. I told my little grandson, let's go and feed the fowl, and he told me, no, it's the chickens. and I spoke about the cock, and he said it's the rooster. Yes, he corrected me and he said it's the rooster. I believe that we are not paying attention to that. Yeah? We need to pay attention if we want to hold on to our culture. If not, we will have a different generation going down the road again, strangers to us. So I just thought I want to back up German, but I want to point out to you that we need to look at what we're doing to our local things. I went to a supermarket and I bought 2 manioc and I went to pay, and the young lady, a Grenadian young lady, she asked me if these are yams. I'm showing you how bad it is. All right, thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to comment on it because Auntie Jojo made a very important point there. No, you see, German probably made one of the most important points in a long time. But again, maybe his style in how he made it may not have prompted an initial response. But, God just highlighted the fact. The truth about it is, GT, we need a whole culture shift. Right? The people who I believe can expose PAN and get it to the level it ought to be, they do not have a platform. They're not on social media, maybe, and they do not have a presence to be able to talk about it. And therefore, oftentimes, it is limited to if you give this radio announcer or if you give that. But the thing is, you might have your own plan, what you're coming to discuss or talk about or play on a morning or afternoon or night. And so it is often difficult. I think where it has to start is this question of civic education. The caller just mentioned that she at a supermarket and somebody asking if that is yam versus maybe it being dashing or some kind of thing like that. And the point is, we major in a lot of minors. What we should be focused on, we are not oftentimes. Former leader Franca Bernardine always used to say, keep your eyes on the prize. And as simple as that statement is, it is so profound because you could utilize it in almost every aspect. For sports, basketball, keep your eyes on the prize. The people who need to call and talk about it, the people who need to appear on the interviews and so on, are we giving them enough time, opportunity? Do we ourselves, who may be limited, have enough knowledge on that specific subject? And it speaks to the education as to how I believe cultural foundation and the role cultural foundation can play in society by ensuring that we embed it. Social media, radio announcers, there should be a short-term course as to how you could bring out culture, as to how you could continue keeping it alive in this modern, busy environment versus the tablet and all these other things, how we could keep the tradition going. Should we not digitize some of these things and have it on a YouTube channel? The same children could hear some of the thing, larger bless, this kind of thing, what it is, what it entails and so on. So we could get that Grenadian culture being embedded digitally. This administration is certainly keen on ensuring that we implement the teaching of Grenadian culture. And again, it comes down to the how and the way, and the people who have the opportunity to do so, are they coming forward with solutions?
All right. I certainly do understand, but it comes across to, as radio broadcasters, announcers wanting to play the music. We want to. But then it comes around to the availability. Yeah. And even though you put yourself out to get it in, sometimes the structure of the program may not allow you to do so. It comes across also to individuals that you may like to come on your program to interview pertaining to these particular cultural activities and so forth. Are they available to come on the show? Sometimes you try to get them, and BC Today, everybody has their own other ways to think about it. True. It may have a particular event and they show up for the interview because of the event. Outside of that, they're unavailable. And and it's what is causing that demise in the cultural shift that we're having. The individuals who are able to.
But we need to know. and that's the thing. The thing is, we are not investing enough to understand how to mitigate and counter, because everybody is seeing the problem, but not the solution.
The solutions. That comes across to our previous conversation. Yes. What are the solutions? What can we do to make these things different? Yeah. I would love to come and sit on the radio all day and play Grenadian music. You understand? It's something I love to do, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. As we like it. MP, of course, Ron Redhead, I want to thank you once again for coming on the program this morning. I'm not sure if you have anything in closing. So we did talk a whole lot this morning, but anything in closing before we take a wrap?
Just to say quickly, thanks to all the callers who contributed. Your points are noted, in particular the one with the Woodford situation, German's point, and certainly by and large the other one with Build Back Better, etc. So we will try our best to make sure that we pass this on to the relevant individuals and stakeholders and see how a solution could be found. But by and large, we want to encourage Grenadians to stay vigilant. You know that we were dealing with the issue of the threats of tariffs. We're now dealing with sargassum in a serious way. Stay vigilant and let's continue to build our country.
All right. Once again, MP, I want to thank you once again and have yourself a great day. Of course, we'll do this again sometime soon. Hey, folks, that's we're going to take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Thank all who contributed towards today's program. Have yourself a good one, folks. That's what we say goodbye.